Okay, thank you everybody and welcome back to the second part of the session. I think there might still be some people online, and again, just to reiterate, this next session is very much interactive within the room, so apologies, but you're welcome to sit on the call. So what we've done here is created a couple of questions, and we're going to relate it back to some of the themes that really came out of earlier, which was that there's clear examples of use cases required. So what we're going to do is break out into some round tables. I suggest that the people you sitting next to you already know, and therefore that's not useful. The idea here at buildingSMART is you get to learn some things about some new people that you may not know and some of the things that they do. So we will rearrange and ask you to do that. There's no set table, so I suggest that we just start filling up tables as they are and try to make it as equal as possible. But the first question is, at your table, tell us about yourself and your experience with digital twins. So this is really a chance for you just to share a bit of experience about what it is that you do and what your company might do and what you might be able to offer in that area. So if you're from the same business, I suggest that you sit in other tables and do that. Okay, so about 10 minutes for this part, and then we've got a second question to follow. So just amongst your table, a little bit about yourselves and what your role do and your experience with digital twins. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I can see there's a lot of good discussion going on, and apologies in advance, but we are hoping to get to some outcomes from the discussion that we've had so far. So we appreciate you sharing some things. What we'd like to do is then just jump forward to the final part, which would be determine in your group some of the 3 key insights that you've learned or shared or discussed. What we'd like to do is ask at least one representative from each table to jot those down, and we'll ask you to just discuss that in the room at the end. So either self-appoint or I will appoint. I'm looking at Gerhard over there, is taking a lot of notes. So maybe he's a good one for that table. Anthony always likes talking on that table, so that might be a good one for there, but please feel free to identify that. So just a reminder again, determine the 3 key insights that you've learned from that table that could really help inform the group and move things forward about where we would go with this topic. And then I would just say per table, just 1 minute per insight per table, so that we can wrap up and beat everyone else for lunch at 1:45. Okay, so yeah, sorry to interrupt, please go ahead. Right, thank you all very much. I think we're ready to start a bit of the feedback, so just keep it hopefully to the so we can get around the tables and get to lunch. So I'll just turn the camera as well, so anyone online, and we can also capture it via video and just get feedback. So.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me. But we had a very nice discussion, and it ended even better. The first takeaway we had is the discussion about evolution and revolution. We're all technicians, so you can imagine we think it's an evolutionary step where when we come to a result like a digital twin. We already have products, we already work, we already have data, and it should be matured, it should be better, it should be more usable for other than this. So the first thing, and then that was the circle of the 7 items, the digital transformation is important. So we start from what we have and bring it to a higher level. That's what we've seen. And we saw there are 3 items in relation to digital twin developments. That's the interoperability, it's data, and asset management. I start with the last one. What you can see is that the emphasis we use at the moment is the start of the design process, the requirements. But at the end, 85% of all data will be used during operation and maintenance stage. So therefore, we need, and we do have one from Hong Kong, the water board in our midst. He says, we need to be attached to the process from the beginning, because we need the information, what was in the document and what's in the model. So the second one is the interoperability. What we have seen is that we need to cooperate to do it. All stages, we have to bring together, and if you have it on an evolutionary way, you can through the development, you can see whether you can use the information from your other partners to get to the main goal. The last one is the data. Especially discussion in our group was about who owns the data, who's responsible for the data, how a contract relates to these issues, how we, there's also a discussion within buildingSMART, which is also about data, is of the round tripping. Of course, that's always because it's changing. So what we do with changing of data, linked data, of course, how do you connect what you have now and into the future? But keep in mind, the client needs that data. I must keep it short.
Excellent. I think the focus here on the client definitions, requirements from asset management through is really good lens to have on the topic of digital twins. So thank you very much. It's excellent. This table, did you find a, yes, over here, please.
All right, thank you. Hello all. Yeah, we tried to squeeze thoughts into 3 key insights. The first one is that we were fascinated by ourselves, of course. We were a very multidisciplinary bunch of people here. We were from electricity, the water, the transportation, the hospitals, the constructions, the planning, and despite the different domains, it seems that the challenges and the thoughts and the phase of where we are in our thoughts is quite similar. So that's the first one. The second one is that from the 7 perspectives, the organizational one seems maybe a bit more important than the others, because it's basically about change management. It's about leading a change that goes through all areas of the organization, and educating, making people learn, and bringing in fast value for the end users. That's something that we gave emphasis on, and also user-friendly approaches. And then lastly, the third one, open connectivity between different domains, meaning that once we step up from the interest of, or the core interests of our own organization into the system of digital twins. At least by then we need connectivity between the domains, and well, maybe that's about APIs, but that's most probably about a lot of other things also. Yeah, thanks.
It's a really fantastic collection of domains here, and actually it's one of the challenges that BSI faces around the different domain groups that we have. So they sometimes, I must admit, do work in isolation around some of these things that are use cases specific to them. What we do want the domains to do is to start find commonality amongst themselves. Things like IFC5 in the future will become a very important part of that. And we actually do see the Digital Twin Working Group as being very helpful in connecting the domains, because clearly there's a lot more commonality than difference between them. IFC 4.3 was a very good example of that, where the schema was extended to different domain types. And we've just launched the maritime domain and hoping to have a power domain and water and things like that. So that's really good. Thank you. This table? Aidan, there you go.
Yes. So we were a table of governance, academics, and product owners and vendors, I guess. Yes. We talked a lot about that we don't have a consensus about digital twins. And we would like to, and we talked about elimination method. What is a digital twin not? And so we had quite a creative discussion here at the end. And we thought also about the proof of concepts, use cases, the bottom-up approach, and then meet the top-down approach. So you can convince the owners or the government to do the right choices. Yeah, and we had some examples about that, and you can just start with a problem, and if you have trust, then you get to proof of concept, and then you gain trust, hopefully. We have some examples of that. And yeah, we also talked about the concept of digital twin is if you do something in one end, there is a reaction in the other end. And that is the link. And I would also address what they said on the last table, open connected data as a premise for this. Yeah.
That's really interesting, yeah. And I think we talked yesterday on the plenary with Leon about this challenge that he's put forward around requirements definition and capture. And it's a really nice thing that the IDS standard is becoming so, it's like wildfire in the community. I don't know if you see it, but it's crazy. So being able to define requirements earlier in the stages is going to really help the output. As you say, what goes in must come out would be better in the long term. So I think that's a really important part. This table.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is a Stadsvegvesen presentation from me and Aidan. Yeah, so my name is Alan Begic. I work at the Norwegian Public Road Administration. And our three key insights from our table here was clean definitions from the owner. I will talk a little bit more about it. And then we have the owner's contract and the technology needed in digital twins. So for the clean definitions from the owners, the owners need to specify why we should use digital twins. What are the costs and benefits and the gains of the usage? What will the digital twin solve? When are we going to use the digital twins? Because in the NPRA, we have different project phases. We have the municipal plan, the zoning plan, the building, which is the land acquisition, design and construction, operating and maintenance. So is the digital twin only be used in the construction, operating and maintenance, or can we use it in all the project phases? Then the next question is, who should use the digital twins? Who are the users here? And where will the digital twin be located? Where will it be archived? Which systems, technology, standards, competence, roles, job positions, laws, and accuracy must be needed for digital twin? Yeah, so one keyword here is machine-readable technology, and perhaps the more usage of AI. But there's a risk of the AI. How can you trust it? So there needs to be some regulations in place as well. When it comes to the owner's contract, there needs to be a demand for it in the market. And who will put the demand? Well, the owners. So the NPRA, we are putting out the demand of using this new technology. And the contract needs to be user-friendly for the one who are reading the contracts. They must understand what we wish to do with the digital twins. And it needs to reference to our governing documents. In the NPRA, we have our handbooks, which define how the models are to be created, which are the necessary elements and attributes of our files, UML schemes, and so forth. The owner contracts need to specify which type of data files are we going to use, IFC and so forth, models, which objects are going to be in the models, and the accuracy. And also, in the end, which standards are we going to use for the digital twin? And the last point is the technology in the DT. So that was a technology in DT is the last key insight. And here we need to present a new user, and that is the machines. If we are going to go on a digital twin, then we need to be more machine readable. So the new role is the machines. So machine readable technology needs to be in place, and it needs to be machine interpretable. So perhaps the AI can help us solve these barriers. But here the software vendors, they need to understand our demands and must integrate this new technology into their programs so that we can use their tools, let's say, to access the data, and that we can perhaps do some analyzing of the models, let's say for greenhouse gas emissions, risk, noise, masses, and environment. So a lot needs to be standardized and needs to be implemented in the contracts. And also there was one point here, was the data security. Yeah, there are a lot of barriers to follow it, but it can be done. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting, and the role of software in this as well is very important. So I think this is our final table. Did we agree on a?
I can't read your text. No, I think we had a very diverse table here with academia presented, journalism, hospital, and the software provider, JTC. So it was a quite diverse group. And we discussed a lot about maintenance in general, and discussion about that the data, the type of data you have, that's important, but it's always not necessary with the 3D modeling. So there was a lot of discussion about that, dependent on where you are in the ecosystem, I guess, that's more or less important. But data is, and qualified data is important, but also the experience that we discussed about in the industry is it's not clear who owns that data, We know that the software providers, they enable the industry to create a lot of data, but you don't know what you can use all the data for, So that's one of the challenges. And I think what's also was important here is that maintenance are done quite differently dependent on what you work with. If it is a hospital, they probably handle the maintenance differently to JTC, who is more facility, also facility management, So yeah, I don't know if I missed out something, but that's the summary of what we actually discussed about.
Thank you. I hope that was useful and invaluable. It seems like we got quite a nice mixture of groups and disciplines and domains. So thank you very much for that. Is there anything that anyone else would like to share that they had? Yes, please. There's two more. Yeah.
Can I sit down? Just because I forgot something, and I think it's an important keynote. We should collect some examples of people trying to create or their definition of a digital twin. And maybe BSI could be a stage for representing this, hosting. And also we could have all kinds of users and to come out and say what their needs are, and to start a consortium on that basis, international needs level for, if you know what I mean.
I do, yeah. Hi, Zhang. I'll just comment on that. I actually was almost going a step further and wondering if we could get a proof of concept going even within some stakeholders in the group. So start to use requirement definition. We've got some software to apply. We've got different stakeholders in the room. We could actually demonstrate that there's no reason why the collective power and the group cannot do that today. So it would be nice to apply a lot of the buildingSMART standards to it and say, actually, the fundamentals can be the basis for a digital twin for your assets.
Thank you, Aidan. Yeah, I'm thinking that when we're thinking about this discussion about BEAM 10 years ago, there's there's non-single consensus that can be achieved. Hence, and in UK, they come up with levels. So they're using 3 different maturity to define beams. But then everyone agrees. So maybe for digital twins, we come to the similar situation. We are at the beginning stage of the digital twin journey. So in regard to the definition, let's don't worry about too much now. Let's just do it without defined use cases, one by one. buildingSMART helping us to collect those use cases to compare. Then the commonality will coming out. Then standards will popping up. And then we can using this, go beyond the bottom-up approach, jump to the next stage, which is top-down. Talk to government, agency, industry, and then bottom-up, top-down. We goes together. That is something that we've been doing for BEAM, and it's kind of successful. For digital twins, it is another case that we can imagine. Another thing that I can think of is we did another academic discussion, very intensive, earlier this year in London, UCL. I'm from European group of intelligent computing in engineering. It's called EGICE. So we have our 30th anniversary with UCL this year, with Mark invited as keynote speaker, one of the keynote speaker, to discuss what is digital twins. There's so many different discussions, very intensive. So eventually there's no, again, consensus based. So that means we are not yet to define it singly from one organization. So let's just do it. Hopefully these will come up. That's my own observations.
Thank you. I hope we share the 7 perspectives there, Haizhang, at this group. That'd be great. Yeah.
And sorry, I also forget something, and it was the major thing, and it was at the end of our meeting, is that digital twinning influence people. We all are, as engineers, as clients, as all kind of people working on this industry, working or using these the digital twins, it will change us. The personal component, that's a very important thing to do. When BIM started to change our organization as an architect office, but now you see it will be disruptive for all of us, not only in working in the field, but also using it. So the people's component, I think, is a very important one.
That's really, really good feedback. So yeah, I think we'll start to do some wrap up now. Is there anything else anyone would like to share? Anything that they discussed that has not been discussed that they might want to just raise their hand? I think then that's good. We'll call that a wrap. I will now look at Frank and Bart for any thoughts. I was just thinking, actually, we haven't captured everyone that's here. So if you're interested in being involved in the future, either come and see us and I'll get your information and we can just follow up one by one via email. We'll just drop your business card with me. I'll wait over here. Because I also would like to follow up, share the results with you, share the notes and everything like that. So please do come and see me if you're really interested in being involved in some future work with BSI. So I'll be over there, but maybe just Frank, any thoughts, feedback as well? And I'll go to Bart just as we wrap up.
No, I think I feel encouraged about the specific examples which you have shared, because the more it is specific, the more we can really learn from it. Yeah, that's it's really learning. And if we do not tend to speak about concepts, what it should do, what it's supposed to do, I echo a lot to what you said. Just do it, because there are so many things in life which have kind of like a vague idea. And when you then go to death and want to determine and what it is and what it is not, it's just academic and you make no progress. But at the same time, it makes somehow progress and it creates facts. So that means I'm very much with that. It materializes more and more. The more examples we have, the more pattern we recognize. Rings a bell, yeah? AI, machine learning, the more data you get, the more patterns you can recognize. And then you can determine it is more this and less of that. And I think that's really good. I think we should really keep that in mind, maybe also for the next session, to be very specific and use more of the learnings you have, even when you talk to clients, to your customers, how you apply those standards, how you do that in Norway, for instance. Also, maybe it would be interesting to understand on how that really works with the different contractors and so forth. So yeah, thank you very much. I liked it a lot and pretty encouraging. Thank you.
Just to echo that, actually, when we wrote the second update paper, I guess we were a little bit concerned that we weren't saying anything brand new or that amazing, but we felt that actually putting something out was beneficial over nothing. And so we really just decided that actually let's just keep the discussion going, even if people say it's not great, not the best thing we've ever done. We still put it out there, and we've had relatively good feedback about it. It isn't perfect, but at the same time, it gives us something to discuss and a platform to talk. So we'll continue to do that and annoy the community. We'll also look to do something in Valencia at the next summit. So we welcome and invite you to participate in that, and hopefully more sessions like this. So Bart.
Thank you, Aidan, for just talking down my effort to write a paper. No, I'm kidding. No, but I think it's. I think the takeaway for me again, it's evolving. We're not talking about. We used to do projects, but we don't talk about a project here. Project meaning we have a clear end goal, and within a certain time and budget and certain risk, we want to get something done. Now we really talk about a program or the transition or the digital transformation was referred somewhere. And I think for me, it's fine to find out answers as we go by just doing it, but also hopefully to structure the dialogue a little bit with 7 perspectives. And up front, we hope to get some feedback on those 7. And I think we got, and I think for me, they tend to start working, especially if we start linking them up with the examples. So I really like the idea of Aidan. Let's take the 10 examples or the examples linked to the BSI awards earlier. If we can combine it, it makes sense and becomes practical. On the other hand, I think it remains a complex, large topic we need to work on. So for me, it's also fine that the discussion is sometimes high level, as long as we can link it to the examples or the practical questions that comes across if you want to get this done. So I think a couple of times the 85% of money is being earned in maintenance, I think makes sense to look at from the other perspective. So I really like that comment as well. I think the ownership of data is a question, but it will be increasingly becoming more and more a question, not because it's the new oil, as they said, but also that will partly deal with the challenge of digital twins, how we can create societal value with them, where there's not just one owner of that data, but multiple stakeholders involved that need to deal with that. And I think that will put challenges all to rethink how we structure the sector, how we structure our businesses, how governments can help facilitate this, etc. So having said that, I think these discussions really help. It really helps to keep us helping to develop it. Also, giving honest answers on questions where we say we don't know helps. So thank you for that as well. And we will progress with this. We still find out a way, like it's a program, as I just said, step by step. So our next horizon is Valencia, but we try to also accelerate a little bit. And there will be a moment of celebration somewhere in a due time. But let's first start with acceleration. Thank you also on my behalf, and also for Mark, who's no longer here, but I think he also really liked your feedback in the Mentimeter and the discussion so far. And now you're still in time for lunch and being the first in the queue, so please enjoy it.